President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi begins a visit to the German capital, Berlin. Ukraine says Russia prepare for next stage of offensive. Coronavirus infections continue to surge worldwide as new Omicron variant emerges. Welcome back. The details. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi begins a visit to the German capital Berlin on Sunday. The visit came upon the invitation of German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to participate in the Petersburg Climate Dialogue, or PCD, under the joint chairmanship of Egypt and Germany. Presidential spokesperson Ambassador Bassam Radi said that the Petersburg Climate Dialogue is one of the important stations ahead of the next round of the Global Climate Summit to be hosted in the Red Sea resort of Sharm el-Sheikh in November, as it represents an opportunity for consultations and coordination among a large group of active countries that confront climate changes. Radi added that Egypt's joint chairmanship in the summit comes due to its vital role under the leadership of President Sisi within the framework of the climate change negotiations over the previous years. The head of a state's visit is to witness a meeting with a number of German officials led by Scholz to discuss means of promoting bilateral ties at all levels in light of the country's keenness to enhance cooperation and continue intensive consultations on issues of common concern. Egypt and Germany's strong strategic ties have been developed over the past years. The two countries endure joint cooperation in various domains and common views over several regional and international issues of mutual interest. We have more details in the coming report.
As the country is celebrating the 70th anniversary of establishing diplomatic relations with Egypt, Germany looks forward to building on this long-standing relation to support Egypt's efforts to increase civil society's engagement in the social and political arenas. The two countries celebrated the launching of joint logo marking the 70th anniversary of the establishment of diplomatic ties. During the last period, the Egyptian-German political relations strengthened, expressing the depth of relations between Cairo and Berlin. Officials of both countries tackle means of promoting bilateral ties and building on the success attained in various fields, while touching on regional and international issues of common concern. Egypt and Germany enjoy distinguished bilateral relations at all levels. The two countries have shared interest in stability. Germany is engaged in many different ways in Egypt, working to promote trade and business, but also human rights and cooperation with the civil society. Egypt is a priority country for German development policy and for cultural relations and education policy. In the 2020-2021 fiscal year, the Central Bank of Egypt announced that German-Egyptian bilateral trade totaled $5.53 billion. The number of German tourists made up the largest group of foreign tourists, with 1.8 million visiting the country. With 1.6 billion euro in loans and subsidies, Egypt is one of the largest partner countries of German development cooperation. Support focuses on the following areas: employment to foster sustainable economic development, including development of the private sector, the water sector and waste management, and the renewable energy, as well as energy efficiency.
The Petersburg Climate Dialogue brings together ministers from many countries to discuss climate action. The international gathering, Petersburg Climate Dialogue, is a series of negotiations to prepare for the UN Climate Change Conference. The Petersburg Climate Dialogue series was launched in 2010 after the Copenhagen Climate Change Conference and has been held annually. The dialogue facilitates opening discussions in small groups on key issues in international climate policy. The Petersburg Climate Dialogue prepares the political groundwork of the COP27 to secure commitment on a loss and damage finance facility, increase support for adaptation, and a plan for the rapid and just phase out of all fossil fuel. Prime Minister Dr. Mustafa Madbouli held a meeting on Sunday to follow up the updates of the Egyptian-Japanese schools experience across Egypt. Madbouli asserted the state's keenness on leading this experience to success and expanding it nationwide, as well as providing full support to those schools upon the directives of President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi. The Premier also called on the private sector to participate in the project by establishing more Egyptian-Japanese schools or by operating and managing other schools affiliated to the Ministry of Education within a joint partnership. Within the framework of its strategy, the Interior Ministry continued its efforts to combat any type of illegal actions all over Egypt. The ministry continued its campaigns to follow up and control prices of strategic commodities. The ministry arrested a number of traders who used to hide strategic commodities to sell them in the black markets. In the field of hiding commodities, the ministry found 88 tons of subsidized commodities as well as 1,174 tons of food and non-food products, which were sold at overprices. The ministry also resumed its efforts to regulate traffic movement in main streets to prevent traffic jams, particularly in rush hours. Earlier, it also intensified the security presence at the taxi stops and fuel stations in all governorates following the increase in fuel prices. This comes to prevent exaggerations of passenger tariffs or monopoly of fuel products prices. Russia prepares for the next stage of Ukraine